Jaya Girivadari Navalabha Jaya Girivadari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Girivadari Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Girivadari Yasodanandana Jaya Praja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Jaya Praja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Haribo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Jaya. Haribo, 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 Nichai Go, Haribo, Haribo. Nichai go Haribo, 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 Nichai go Haribo. Go Premanandi, Haribo, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So, thank you. Jai. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. We're just going to read from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're on the 8th chapter. So we just chant in response the recitation mantra, the invocation mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the 8th chapter entitled Attaining the Supreme, and it's text 13. I have to get my glasses on. Don't usually wear my glasses, but I'll put these on now. Okay, let me have a look. We do the Sanskrit first. Let me have a look. Om Omiti Eksharam Brahma Vyasaram Mam Anusmaram Ya Prayanti Tejam Deham Sayati Paramam Gatim Amiti Eksharam Brahma Varanam Mam Anusmaranam Ya Prayanti Tiyajan Deham Sayati Paramam Gatim. Does anyone want to say that? Sounds good. Oh, look, you got it up there. That's good. Okay. Does anyone want to give it a go? Om iti aksharam Brahma Anyaram Anusmaram Ya Priyayati Tejadeham Sayanti Paramam Gatim. Anyone else? Mataji's? Okay. Omiti Aksharam Brahma Smaram Ya Prayati Tayam Deham Samyati Paramam Gatim. So in response, please, Om, the combination of the letters Om, Omkara, Iti, thus, Eka Aksharam, the one syllable, Brahma, absolute, Vyaharam, vibrating, Mam, me, Krishna, Anusmaram, remembering, Yaha, anyone who, Prayate, leaves, Tyajan, quitting, Deham, this body, Sa, he, Yati, achieves, Paramam, the supreme, Gatim, destination. So translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So I'm reading the purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. It is clearly stated here that Om, Brahman, and Lord Krishna are not different. The impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is clearly recommended for this age. So if one quits his body at the end of life chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, he certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets according to the modes of his practice. The devotees of Krishna enter into the Krishna planet, Goloka Vrindavan. For the personalists, there are also innumerable other planets, known as Vaikuntha Lokas, in the spiritual sky, whereas the impersonalists remain in the Brahma Jyoti. That's the end of the purport. So, translation again. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Shimari Shri Dharam Swami Chinamani. So we're reading from the 8th chapter entitled Attaining the Supreme. So in this 8th chapter, it's quite emphasized. Srila Prabhupada is giving us these purports, and ultimately he's translated the original translations spoken by the Supreme Lord through disciplic succession coming down from the original source, from guru to disciple. And so Srila Prabhupada, in the 8th chapter, this is covering a lot about consciousness and the time of consciousness at the time of death, of leaving the world, and which is quite an important, very important subject matter. When we sort of looking at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita in the introduction, Srila Prabhupada explains there's the 5 main subject matters that Bhagavad Gita covers, which are very important. And I wouldn't say they're unusual, but on a spiritual level they're very practical. But a lot of spiritual teachings are not so in depth. Not that we're knocking over spiritual teachings, but they don't really go in depth on these subject matters. The Bhagavad Gita itself is like a highway code for us. A highway code, like if you're driving on the road, in a car, and you're not, you just passed your tests. You need to know a few ideas of what the signs mean, and not to drive down a one-way street, and how to go about in a safe order. So the Bhagavad Gita is like a highway code book for the conditioned soul in the material world. And we're all the first stages of understanding spiritual life, as Srila Prabhupada makes it very simple. He explains you're not the body, you're the spirit soul. We're all eternal. And he explains that the body is like a vehicle, like a car, but the soul's a driver. And when the body ends, the soul carries on. Like when a car may finish, the driver gets out and carries on. And it explains a little bit about that. These are 5 subject matters. One of the main, the 5 subject matters is Ishwara, the supreme, understanding the supreme. Jiva, the soul, the living entity, the spirit. There's Kala, which is time, and Prakriti, which is material nature, and Karma, which is activity, fruitive activity. All these are actually eternal, except one of them, which is karma. Karma is actually temporary, because karma is created by our misuse of free will. And when we misuse our free will to enjoy in this material world, it creates bondage to the material world and repeated next bodies. You're the architect of your destiny. So karma's the temporary one out of this. It's karma. Actually, Prabhupada said good karma, bad karma, not really any good. You could have really good karma, not that we knock it, but as long it's what you use in Krishna's service ultimately. If you've got really good karma and it can be very binding, it can give you a false sense of security in a temporary world. If you've got good karma, like really good, lots of money, really good health, but you can use that in Krishna's service. It can be a good thing, but if you get too carried away with good karma, you become distracted away from your real spiritual goal. And the same with bad karma as well. If you've got too much bad karma and you're suffering too much, it's hard to focus on relief and become introspective. So Prabhupada explains, good karma, bad karma are all the same. But when you chant Hare Krishna, when you chant the names of God, the Hare Krishna mantra, you actually become free, and you step over the laws of karma. You're still conditioned to a point. Prabhupada gives the example, if a fan is turning very fast, and that's like our karma, when you pull out the plug and there's no more power, but still there's some momentum of the fan still going, but that's burning off the rest of the karma, but it's not plugged in. That's like when you chant the holy name, you're sort of cutting off your karma, but you're still you still have to go through some purification, because we've been down here a long time in the material world, as it explains, and that's the nature of the jiva, the living entity. The jiva is actually we're eternal, And it has a relationship with Ishwara. We have a relationship with God, and it's based on devotion. Ultimately, that's the process. And this going to the thought I'd just give a little introduction of some of the subject matters of Bhagavad Gita there, and we're just looking at this after being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters. If one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planet. Omkara, so Om Tat Sat, that means the supreme absolute truth. And you still get the same benefit through chanting Hare Krishna. So Krishna and his name are non-different. And Om, the sacred syllable Om, is actually the impersonal aspect of Krishna. Because there's three aspects of God realization: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So there's the impersonal Brahman. It's still some good standard of God realization, but it's impersonal. It's like if a man was on a boat and he was going towards in the sea, and it was slightly, say if there's some fog on the sea, he may be in a difficult situation and he's trying to find land, but from a distance he may see the outline of an island in the distance. At that moment, that's more like the Brahman realization. And as he gets closer to the island, he sees there's trees, it's an island, there may be people there. That's like the Paramatma realization. And then when he actually gets to the island and gets off the boat and meets the people, and and has a campfire and gets nourishment, that's like the Bhagavan realization, understanding that actually God is personal, he has a form, he's not formless. And he's a friend, he's a father, a mother, he has those relationships, and he's also our eternal friend. So it's very personal. So the aspects of God realization, yes. So this relationship with God, actually with Krishna, we call him Krishna. Krishna means all attractive, because God's all attractive ultimately, and he's actually looking for our devotion. Actually, our relationship is based on devotion. We can't buy anything. We haven't got, no matter how much money you got, or how much wealth, or how mystical you may be, or how beautiful one is, or whatever opulence one's got, it's all coming from the Supreme. So no matter what you've got, you can't win it over from the Supreme Lord, because he's already got it. But what he's looking for is our devotion in our heart. So Prabhupada gives the example: if a little boy or whatever his child, the father is there and the child is chewing a lozenge, and the father's already given the lozenge, and then sometimes the son wants to reciprocate, and he pulls it out of his mouth and he offers it back to his father, and it's all chewed up. But the father doesn't say to him, "No, this is disgusting." He sort of smiles and he laughs. He says, it's okay, that's really kind. He sees with love, his heart's touched. So that's our sort of situation with Krishna. We're down here, we've stepped away. We've turned, we've misused our independence, and we're sort of rummaging around in the dark, in the material world. Dukkhalayam shashvatam. It's there's some good things. When the sun shines, it's quite nice, but for a few seconds, a few minutes. But the material world's not we're fish out of water. Srila Prabhupada says, it's like, you put a fish on the boat, he's flipping around, he wants to get back in the ocean. So our original nature as a spirit soul is to be in the spiritual world, it's to be in the spiritual atmosphere, because we're actually sparks from the big fire. We're all eternal parts and parcels. And when the spark's out the fire, the spark becomes cold a little bit. He loses his glare. But when the spark's back in the fire, he's strong. But the way to become back in the fire, as they say, is in this age of Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel, is by chanting, hearing, remembering the Lord, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dashyam, Sakyam, Atminavedanam, chanting, hearing, remembering, worshipping the Lord, offering our service to the Lord, and whatever we do in this life, we should try to do it in an offering to God, or remember God somehow. Always remember the Lord and never forget Him. That's the goal of the human form of life. There's many different species of life. There's millions. There's millions and millions, but basic number is 8,400,000. Was it 8,400,000? Isn't it? 1,400,000 different species of life, and within that there's different species as well. But and the human form of life, actually, throughout the 3 different worlds, the upper planetary systems, the middle and the lower, on Bhu and Bhuvaswa, like the demigods, planets, there's the middle sphere, what we're in, Bhumaloka, we're in the middle, and in the lower is more like the hellish planets, subterraneans. There's different species, but it explains, Prabhupada says, the human form of life is very rare. What they call it, human body junction. It's a rare stop to get the human form of life, and the human form of life is meant for self-realization. Atata Brahma Jigyasa, that's the human form of life. It means solely the human form of life is for inquiry. Who am I? What's this place? Why do I suffer? Where am I going? Where do I come from? Who's God? What's my relationship with God? That's the real goal of human form of life. And so Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada's made it, because he's passing it on from his guru, his teacher. This is Srila Prabhupada here. And that's next to him is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on the right side with the glasses. That's his Guru Maharaj. And his guru was Guru Kishore Das Babaji. So it's all coming down from succession, spoken and passed on from guru to disciple. It's intact. But in time, in Kali Yuga, sometimes this succession can get broken, and sometimes this knowledge, as it appears, it can be lost. So this is why it's important to read Srila Prabhupada's books. And Srila Prabhupada very emphasizes, if one's quite serious in spiritual life, he should approach a spiritual master at a certain point. Tadvidi pranayapatena parprasena sivaya upadekshanti ti ganajanaina tattvadarshana. One who wants to find the truth should approach a spiritual master. He should inquire from him sincerely and then serve him. And then for those who've got that knowledge, they will impart it onto him. So we need guidance. There's a way of guidance. We're not that we have to, but that's the steps in spiritual life. We do need guidance to actually get straight. We can't go straight. In some ways, we can go. At the beginning, we can go sort of straight to Krishna. Krishna is very merciful. Through His mercy, He sees us coming in, but then at a certain point, He points us in the direction of a teacher. Yasat Prashadam Bhagavat Prashado, Yasat Prashadam Nakati Katopi. That if you want the Lord will guide you, but then the Lord will send you a spiritual master. A proper, there's different spiritual masters, but a proper teacher to guide us towards Him. Otherwise we become very speculative. And it gives the example, if you wanted to work on, to like in NASA, for example, in Space X, it's got some big computers there, some sophisticated stuff. You have to be quite clued up to work on those, and if you are learning those, I heard they give you a tutor, someone right next to you helping you work with them. You could compare that computer as it is technical as a human body and mind. I don't think there's, because the human body and mind invented those computers, it's not as technical as the source. So human body and mind is a lot more technical, meaning if you think you can work this one out, we do need guidance. We need a teacher, a guide. And if one is sincere in their heart, then they'll find a sincere teacher. Because there's many bogus gurus, like I was saying, there's many bogus teachers. They say in India, there's God on every street corner. One who says he's Bhagavan, but you know, and Prabhupada says that, you know, if you think you're God, if you think you're, show me your universal form, Virat Rupa. Unless you can do that, you know, which is only Krishna can actually show us this form. So if one is sincere, they can find spiritual life is down to the heart. It's not an external thing. It's in the heart. It's just, and Krishna consciousness itself. It's not a religion. It's actually because there's different. There's higher religion and lower religion. Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So yeah, it's like sort of the lower side of religion is based on externals. You know, where someone might say, I'm a Jew, I'm a Christian, a Muslim, or a Hindu. And the internal side of religion is Sanatana Dharma, is understanding actually we're all spirit souls, we're all brothers and sisters, and there's one Father, and we're all His children. We're all His, and then that's Krishna consciousness is a science. It's a science of the soul. It's like I say, the first stage is, and I could say easy, I suppose, but I don't. Do I realize it? You know, you're not the body. Prabhupada says you're not the body, but we're so attached to the body. You know, we're there in the morning cleaning our teeth or whatever, we're looking at us. I don't know, it doesn't help having a mirror sometimes, but, you know, we're engrossed. But at the time of death, this most important time, because actually Krishna consciousness is preparation for death as well. It's learning how to die, actually. I don't mean to sound morbid or you know, dismal, but I mean, we're dying at every second anyway. The moment you're born, your body's dying. You know, it's aging, time is there, time's taking things away. But it's actually at the time of leaving this world, it's a big lesson. Prabhupada explains we invest our heart and soul into so many mundane subject matters. There's nothing wrong with becoming educated, of course, but if we put too many eggs in one basket and not much in the spiritual basket, as they say, on the balance things out on the scales of introspection, then you know, it's very difficult at the time of leaving this world to focus or to focus one's mind on God. So it takes practice, sadhana, practice from that point where we do ask, who am I, what's this place? And then we come in association with devotees, sadhu sangha, and then we do the practice, you know, bhajana kriya, and then we go through the process of anartha and vritti, removal of that dirt within the heart. That's the clearing stage. That's the difficulty in spiritual life. You're going up, the plane's taking off. It's very important, you know, when you first, especially when you come. I mean, I'm still very new myself. In the beginning of spiritual life, the plane's taking off, and when the plane takes off, you don't want too much turbulence because you want to get it quite high enough so it's safe, you know. So when there is turbulence, it's got a bit of leeway. So like in our spiritual life, it's you know, we should try, especially try and rise early in the mornings if possible. This helps. Chant early in the morning. We want to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and honor prasadam. You know, when we eat the food, whatever food we eat, we should eat food that's offered to Krishna. Because whatever food you eat is also carries consciousness. You know, actually, as soon as the fire comes up, whoever's lighting that fire, their consciousness goes into that. Especially in the food grains, karma travels strongly in food grains. So it's always good that when you're cooking, you eat food that's made by devotees. If they're thinking about offering it to Krishna and then they offer it, it takes all the karma out of it, all the material desires. But if you go and eat something made by someone that's, you know, within reason, we have different time, place, circumstance. You know, we have different lives, trying to work. Some people have to work very hard and they haven't got time to cook. But whatever you get, if providing, yeah, it's vegetarian, no fish, meat or eggs, we can try to offer it to Krishna. So and give our offering to him, and then he should, hopefully he'll accept it he'll give it back to us as prasadam. And when we eat it, it helps purify us as well. So when we hear the scriptures, if we hear the lectures from Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, that Shrabda Brahman, that transcendental sound, it helps purify the consciousness, it cleanses the heart. Because we've got many layers of subtle dust that's kept us down here for lifetimes in the material world. But actually underneath all that dust is the pure spirit, is our pure consciousness. Sarva Siddhi Hai Krishna. There's a nice verse, love of God is actually in the heart of all living entities. It's already there. It's just a case of us uncovering it through, not that we're the doers, but we endeavor to serve and to take shelter of the Supreme Lord and his devotees, and then through Krishna's mercy, through his unfathomable mercy, he takes away the lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, because you can't take that away with any kind of stretching or breathing. That's good. Yoga's good for stretching and breathing, strengthening the body and sort of pushing up the consciousness a bit, but these subtle things, they can't be taken away through our own endeavors. So, but through in Harinam Eva Kivalam Kalo Yanastiva Nastiva Nastiva Gacha Ivi Anyata. In this dark age of Kali Yuga, the only real way to attain the Supreme Lord is through actually chanting his names. Chant the holy name, chant the holy name. Because Krishna and his name are non-different. And Prabhupada said, some people asked him, can we chant names of God? Is that God has different names? Can we chant a name we know of God? He said, yeah, you can chant like Jesus or Jehovah, Allah, from your heart. But he said, what's the difference between chanting Hare Krishna? Well, he said, when you chant the names of God, there's like taking the stairs, but when you chant Hare Krishna, it's like getting in the lift and going to the top of the building. It's a faster process. It's a very purifying process as well. It's sometimes when you chant and you get into it, it's so sweet, but at the same time, there's a lot of dust being removed. It's like you may go into your attic or and clean up a room that hasn't been cleaned for a long time. It's very sweet. It's a nice feeling. I want to clean that room, but you get in there and you feel, God, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of mess here. You dust in and you're stacking it up and thinking, God, I don't know if I should have started this, but that's the chanting. The chanting's cleansing the heart. It's purification. Lifetimes, millions of lifetimes of, vikarma, akarma, and so many anarthas, so many bad activities. Storehouses. Prabhupada explained it. There's hangars, like where they put the aeroplanes. There's hangars and hangars of karma from previous lives. Anyway, but Prabhupada said that you just through chanting Hare Krishna, you can get Krishna consciousness in a moment, but he said for most it may take many lifetimes. Well, not for most, but some of us it may take many lifetimes. So chanting together is nice in the morning, early hours. If one's got that luxury to come to the temple or just rise early, and rising early is all to do with how early you go to bed. And it's hard sometimes. It's hard to go to bed early because the mind... Back to Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, he said that in the morning the mind needs to be smacked with a slipper, and that means rising early and chanting together. And he said, but in the evening it needs to be smacked with a stick, which a stick I thought is harder than a slipper. Because in the evening sometimes it's even more difficult to fix mind. At least in the morning, the modes are more mode of goodness. It's a bit more easier to engage in spiritual activity. But in the evening, in the downtime, just before bed, it's difficult to get to bed early sometimes. But that's the art of spiritual life, is going to bed early. If you can get that break, well, fair play to quite a few you here at the temple, you're naturally in that groove of going to bed early and rising early, but when you're living outside, it's hard to get into that motion. But that's the art, is try and get one early night in and just try and rise really early, go down the temple, chant, or just get up early, start your chanting, and try and engage in the mode of goodness and the transcendental goodness, and try and chant your rounds early in the morning. It's the best time. Spiritual life has its strengths more then. But if you can't do that, at least just chant. Always chant. The best remedy for chanting is always more chanting. It's the best thing for us, because it's the only thing that really matters. It's the last thing we should remember as well. Prabhupada, as I was explaining about our practice before death, many people are putting so much time into their mundane subjects or qualifications. But Prabhupada says no one's preparing for the main lesson. The most important lesson is when the end of life, whichever time it comes, you never know. But for one who, Krishna explains, whatever you think of at the time of death, yam yam vapi smaram bhavam, whatever your heart's engaged in at death, surely that will come up. Wherever your heart is, wherever your consciousness has mostly been, that's what's going to come up. And that's the state we attain after we leave our body. But even if it's good, sometimes it needs to be, we don't want to keep coming round in the material world. There's always birth, death, old age, and disease. It's always suffering. So the look, this is we actually, through chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and we're taking shelter of Krishna. But Krishna comes in Kali Yuga as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here in the gold color in the center, and his associates, Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shivas. So Lord Chaitanya is so kind. He's the most kindest. He said actually our qualification in Kali Yuga is our disqualification. So he's given us great mercy. He said, don't worry, you just, because like in the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, just surrender unto me, abandon all varieties of religion, and he's quite strict on his points, which is very understandable, but that's at the end of Dwapara Yuga. But in this age of Kali, Krishna comes, he incarnates, the Lord himself, he comes in the form of a devotee, Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya's come to give us the Hare Krishna mantra, and he wants us to chant the holy name, and this takes away all the problems, all our sufferings, because we're not really in control anyway. We're just down here trying to be controllers. That's the reason we're in the material world. Krishna's the original controller. He's Adi Purusham, and but Krishna wants to see us. He doesn't want us to be attached to our results, because he's in charge of the results, but he wants to see our endeavors. The devotees should endeavor. Prabhupada said actually, devotees, I said it before, I like this one, he said devotees are like ducks. He said, he was looking at this pond, and he said, maybe, non-devotees may be working hard, but not so much in the spiritual activities, but devotees, sometimes they look like they're not doing much, but they rise in early, they're working really hard. He says they're like ducks, they're quite calm on the surface, they're going along, but he said if you look under the water, their legs are going like anything. They're really busy actually. Because, to keep our consciousness at a good standard, one has to work hard. One has to work hard in Krishna consciousness. Some religions might say, they say you can't get to God through works. you can't, you can't get to God through works. But of course, because God's in charge of the result and he knows your heart. But one should endeavor, should work hard as endeavor. I'm telling this to myself. My guru, my spiritual master, he always says, you got to work hard on you got to try and rise early if you can, you got to show some push in your spiritual life. At a certain point you got to work. He said they're having a big party up there. He said, and you got to knock really loud to get in. They do care if you come in, of course, but they don't really need anyone. It's going down. It's good, but one has to knock really hard. And that knocking hard is trying to chant sincerely and do your service, trying to remember Krishna, even in the good and bad times. Even in the bad times, if we're going downhill in the school of hard knocks, finally at some point we'll pray that we can get help to sort of help us with our egos. We've all got the false ego and thinking that we're doing okay sometimes, but actually we're all in a hopeless position. We're in a hopeless condition down in this world. Prabhupada explains it's a bit like the toilet. He says you don't want to hang around. You come into the material world, but it's like going to the toilet. You don't hang around there. You don't do your best things. You do your business and you leave. He says then come back home. So the goal of spiritual life is to get back home, back to Godhead. Back to this. You can, not that we condemn this world. This world is also all made from God's creation. It has beauty. The beauty's there. But it's temporary. It's a reality. It is reality, but it's a temporary reality. The real reality is the eternal spiritual reality. It's what we're all striving for as conditioned souls. We're all very conditioned. We're very lost on the path, but luckily we're very fortunate if we come to Krishna consciousness, because Krishna gives dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupiyante. He gives the intelligence if one sincerely inquires and serves him with love. He'll give the intelligence by which to come. He'll help us see the goalposts. It's nice to see a set of goalposts. I remember when before I met devotees, it was a certain point I started to really search for God, or search for spiritual knowledge. And I couldn't see the woods through the trees, as they say. And but at a certain point I found devotees, and then I started to see the goalposts. I could see what I was aiming for and understand. So yeah, it's we're nearly on we've just gone past 10 till. Is anyone, I'll stop here because we're going to have the arti soon. Has anyone got any questions or anything? Anyone want to, any comments they want to say? Or?
I didn't see that coming. The toilet analogy, that's good.
Oh yeah, Srila Prabhupada, yeah.
I think it's relaxing, It's good to be joyful and relax.
Of course, to relax and be joyful. Everyone has different natures, absolutely, yeah. But at the same time, we don't want to be too relaxed. We might fall off the back of the fence. At the same time, we don't want to be too, intense. I think I'm more on the intense side. I'd like to be more relaxed if I could. But everyone has a different nature.
I asked the question because it's a really big question for me, because in life I've gone this way and I've gone this way, and now I'm actually saying I just want to sit on the fence, and then you set the fence.
Right.
Is it actually a good thing to be in the middle, to have the center, or you have to take a stand?
You've got to take a stand. It's better to take a stand. I mean, because that's the whole thing. Nature will force us to take either one or the other. Hopefully it doesn't go down. It's better to go up, of course. So, because spiritual life is always dynamic. It never stays in one static place. And, but yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Anyone, anything else? Hello, Hare Krishna.
You mentioned something about temporary reality.
Yeah.
Will you be able to give us some examples to elaborate more?
So, yeah, you're asking about a temporary reality. Because some people say this world's an illusion, but actually it's very real. It's a testing ground, as it explains in the Bhagavad Gita. It's like I say, it's Dukkalayama Shastratam. It's a place of suffering, but it's the material world's created by Krishna. Not that he wanted to go out his way to do it, but because of the living entity's misuse of independence and his desire to come and enjoy separately than Krishna had to, he decided to create this prison house, this durga. So this is a testing ground. This is the reality, meaning it's a temporary reality. Because it's we don't live, we live a short time and we have to leave. But then if you want to get right into it, everything is eternal ultimately. When everything breaks down, the material elements, the prakriti, it's actually, once you can't see it on the microscope, it just actually goes back to the spiritual energy. But the world as it is set up, this matrix, this is a reality. a temporary reality. It's not eternal reality, but real reality does mean, this spirit, eternal. I don't know if that's explained. Help. Okay? Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Well,
So you say that the souls come here to learn. What do they learn different things, or just trying to learn the same?
do the souls come here to learn in the material world? Yeah. Well, it's actually the soul. We're all down here learning a similar thing. Actually, there's some souls that are. I won't get too into the technical sides, but all I understand in a way is Prabhupada explains. Pardon me, because we have Krishna is Swarat. He's all independent, and we do possess his minute qualities. Independence and eternality and bliss. Many of those things are there, but they're in very minute form. So because we're minutely independent, we stepped away from, they say Krishna called us 3 times. They said, don't go, where are you going? Where are you going? So we wanted to, I was speaking to you earlier a little bit, wasn't I, about that? I don't know. We jumped down, we stepped down. It's quite a dark night of the soul, we don't get too into this subject, slightly could be controversial, but somehow we've come here. Prabhupada says somehow or other we've come to this material world, and we are passing through, but the real goal is not to really. There's not much to find out down here. There's some adventure, you can have a laugh, but what you will find is no matter what happens, there's birth, death, old age, and disease. Abraham, Abhuvaloka, Punaravatino, Arjuna. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest are all places of suffering where repeated birth and death take place. That's the bottom line, actually. That's in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, this chapter, 2 verses away. It's 8:16. Yeah, it says, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So
So I heard the point of love and distress. I always used to hear them talking about distress and love. Is that something we have to experience, or is that something we should experience? To understand love, we have to feel distress and...
yes, that's there. And Prabhupada, that's a nice question. You just reminded me of one of those verses, 2:14, Mattress explains actually. Matraspasis to Kuntiya Satoshna Sukadukadar Agapan Yaino Nichas Tams the Diksha Bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of the winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O Sayana Bharat, but one must learn to tolerate them without becoming disturbed. Happiness and distress, material happiness and distress, they're ultimately temporary, but the real happiness is eternal happiness when we're engulfed in service and surrender of heart to the Supreme Lord. And it may, I don't know if that. Thanks for your time. We'll finish there. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Go Premanandi. Hare Go. Hare Krishna.
श्री श्री राधा गोकुल नंद की श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय, श्री गौरानिताय की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। कि जय जय गौरचंद्र आरती का शोभा जानवी ताता